Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs, and hope everyone is doing well and that you're enjoying summer or whatever season it is in your part of the world. Today I'm sharing my roll, finished roll from Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Down the Garden Path, and it is finally completed. When I think of 6 months of stitching on this, we really put our hearts and soul into this, and finally we're at that wonderful point where we have a finished product, which is really nice. So I made my spool. My spool is comprised of some wooden rounds that I purchased. They're just unfinished wooden circles, and they were about 1/4 of an inch thick as this this larger one is here. And I glued 2 together for the top, and then I distressed them and decoupaged them with these pretty, they look like dogwood flowers to me, and buds, and put that on the top and bottom. I quickly realized that my roll would probably be thicker than this. I think this is 2.5 inches, and I think the wider is 3. So I also used the wider circles and did the same thing, distressed and painted, distressed, and varnished them all with a spray varnish by Minwax. And so I thought that that would be wide enough to accommodate the roll. And I just glued these rounds to the center portion, which is a part of a plastic wrap, Reynolds plastic wrap roll. And it was a very sturdy, heavy-duty cardboard. So I took that, cut it, and covered that with a white fabric. Then I glued these top and bottom rounds to that center tube, and that comprises my, that is what makes up my spool. Hopefully it's sturdy. I used a clear craft glue on it to glue the top and bottom together. I thought hot glue sometimes has a tendency to pop off, so I'm trying this clear craft glue, and hopefully it works out. Hopefully it's sturdy enough. And so this is my roll. This is what it looks like. And this will go in on my hutch in my sewing room in a basket on the shelf. And so for my little closure, I just put this, I kind of looped around this little flower charm on some blue ribbon, which I thought tied in with my stitchery project. And I had gotten these from an Etsy purchase. They were a little gift inside of my order, so I thought they were very pretty. I then added this pretty double-sided ribbon that I have, satin ribbon, and I thought that this side really matched the greens in my roll very nicely. So I used that as a closure also. And then I wanted to tie something around it. I was going to originally tie a wide ivory satin ribbon, but it covered up quite a bit of the roll, so I opted for the thinner. And this is a vintage trim that I had gotten, and when I bought it, it was all scrunched up and kind of wrinkly, and so I just washed it and ironed it, and I thought it's very pretty, but it was listed as a vintage trim. So here is my roll, and I decided to start at the beginning, and I had originally put this little dresser scarf portion on here, and because you could see where it was stitched on the back, I didn't want any of that stitching to show, so I cut another portion of that dresser scarf and put it on here, almost like a facing, so that covers it. And I did line my whole roll. The whole thing is lined or backed with this fabric, which is the same fabric that's on the front of the roll that the stitching is on. So this gives a nice clean finish. I just like that rather than to see all of the knots and traveling and whatever whatever else is on the back here. So I cut a piece just a little bit smaller. I think this started out at 5 3/4, and I think this is 5 1/2 or 5 5/8. And I used a blanket stitch and stitched all the way down the length of it, all the way around to put this backing on. You don't really see it from the front very much, that blanket stitching. You can notice it a little bit more on the back. So as anyone, when someone comes in my sewing room and they unroll this to look at it, you can see that the story unfolds from the beginning where we started to go down the garden path. And with the roll, it just unfolds. And as it unfolds, so does the story of what's going on down the garden path. And till we get to the very end. And this is the Reynolds spool, tube that was in the Reynolds plastic wrap roll, and I covered it with this white fabric. And because it's fabric, I glued the end of my roll to this fabric. So this is attached firmly. And I was going to roll it this way, keeping the little secret or the story inside, which I can still do. I can still roll it that way, but I didn't know if that would be boring to look at that on my hutch, although I think it's pretty as well. But it can be rolled either way, but I'm rolling it this way. And this fabric goes all the way down to the very end of the roll, so it's all covered. And then the buttonhole stitch on each side, just keeping it together. I didn't put any stitches in the center. It seems to lay nice and flat. I didn't seem to need to attach anything. There's no bubbling or anything like that. So when the other side is shown, it is a clean finish on it. So that was very easy, really. I did measure this, and I think it's about 50 inches, the entire roll. I had originally planned on just doing about 36 inches for my roll. I thought that would be plenty for 12 prompts, and I thought that's allowing about 3 inches each. And it definitely was not enough. So I added about 14 more inches to mine, and I think I measured it. I think it's about 50 if I remember correctly. So my roll is longer than I expected it to be, but I don't mind at all. I love all of the prompts, and I love the little story that it creates. It's like a little storybook for children and adults, to kind of envision the things that go on down the garden path in the garden. And so it rolls up nicely, and this little edge is nice and faced. So it's just a nice clean finish. And I know that there are those that like the fraying and the raveling, and I do as well in certain circumstances. I do like that look, but for this I wanted kind of a nice clean finish on here, and that's why I did it that way. I had been asked how I was going to do it, and that was kind of my plan. So then after rolling it up, I would just take this lace, and hopefully it's about half and half, and I bring it around twice just to give it a little bit of extra stability. And don't really make a bow on this portion. I just kind of tie it, give it a little tie, and then take the green ribbon. I like this side a little bit better, and just wrap that around as well, right on top of that lace trim. I'll do a better job on this when I'm not videoing. And just make a little bow on here. Nothing too big and floppy, just kind of a little bow on here. Like that. And then I just take this little flower charm, which I love, and let's see, how does that go? Here we go. Take that. Oh, the ribbon is twisted, isn't it? And just slip it through, sort of do a loop-de-loop where it slips through here. And bring it up and through. And I think that adds just kind of a nice little extra touch on there of color. And so that will go on my hutch in my sewing room. So finished at last. And I forgot to mention in the beginning that I will be showing the Noah's Ark quilt that I'm making for our little grandson that is due shortly in September. So sorry, I forgot to give warning of that, but I'll let you know towards the end, and you can change off to move on to the next video. I thought I would also share some trims that I have set aside, some more trims for the volume 4. And this is a trim that I had bought on Etsy quite a while ago, and it's a vintage rayon trim, and it's been hand painted and dyed, and I just love it. I think it's so pretty. It's very, very tiny and delicate, and I love it. I think it will be a nice addition. And also this, I've had this as well. I'd like to add this in my little basket. This, I think, is a collar. Beautiful little collar. And I'd like to add this to one of the hexies. So that's another one that I had pulled out. And these are some of those little ribbon flowers, which I think are, let's see, are they, maybe they're glaring. Rachel had used these on one of her stitching episodes. I'm not sure which it was, but I just think they're so pretty. And I think those will be a nice addition according to whatever the prompts are. I'm sure that I could work them in somehow. And this color as well. These are all hand stitched too. So I thought that that might be a very pretty addition in volume 4. Excuse me. And something else that I pulled out for volume 4 is this hand-stitched ribbon and ribbon roses on an organza, which I think is very pretty. It has a very sort of nature-inspired or organic look. And I thought this might be something different to add to the hexagons that I'm planning. This is a new one, and I love this. It has sort of a woodland feel to it. I thought that that might be very, very pretty, depending, again, I don't know about the colors that will be chosen to go with the prompts, but I think that is just a beautiful little trim, and it has a woodland look to it, to me, but and even if I don't use it on volume 4, it's still something nice to have in my supplies. And then this one I got as well. And I don't know, it's a little bit big and bright for me, for my taste. But maybe a small portion of that might look pretty on one of the hexagons. I don't know. So that was another one that I had bought. This little one I've had. I'm not really crazy about yellow so much. Not one of my favorite colors, but it is really cute little ribbon flowers. And maybe that'll look nice on one of the hexagons along with the prompts. So those are some additions that I have for the volume 4. And I meant to also show you that I added something to the end of the roll. I added a little root cellar to the end. If when you look at the video, if you go back to when I'm unrolling it, I did add a little, I think to me it's a root cellar for Miss Lucy's vegetables from her garden. But quickly I'll show, now I'll show Noah's Ark quilt, which I've had some requests to show. So if you'd like to go on to the next video, that's fine. This is all ready and set to be quilted. I have all pins in it. It's all pinned. Here's the backing, which is a pale blue with stars on it. And this is the border that I've added here. My daughter-in-law liked this border. I wasn't sure if I should stop at the gray or add this border, but she liked this color, and it's sort of a sea foamy green. Yeah, I guess that's the color that I would call it. It's really very pretty, and the colors in his nursery are gray. His walls will be gray, and there's navy. This isn't navy, but it's a dark greenish blue, which I think will tie in okay with the navy gray and this color green. So hopefully the colors will all fit in. So I added a gray border, a little gray border with stars. This is a flange. I added a flange here just to sort of frame the arc, and then I did the gray border there, and then added one other. So I'll just kind of give a close-up of that so that you can see it a little bit better. There's the flange and the sort of a seafoam green border on there. That's a gorgeous fabric. That's a McKenna Ryan. I'm a huge fan of her fabrics. And it goes all the way over here. Here's the sun in the sky with the rainbow. And then we come down to the arc and the tree. And the other smaller tree on this side, and then the bottom with the animals. Lots and lots of pins in here. And I'll be doing the free motion quilting on this. It's not my strong suit at all, but I am going to attempt it. I've quilted some other quilts before, but I don't have that artistic flair for that. But so we'll see how this comes out, and I will share that one more time when it is finished. And sticking with that theme, I will just quickly show the quilt for my other little grandson, Easton, who's 6 and loves Hot Wheels. So does my other little grandson, who's 3, Mason, loves Hot Wheels cars. So this is Hot Wheels car quilt for Easton. And the backing is blue, his favorite color. So this is all done. This is quilted and bound. So that's another quilt done off of my little list. And because I think maybe I'm a little bit crazy, I have decided to join in with Lisa Bonjean's Twilight Stars. I don't know if anyone else is doing these little stars. And she'll give you 2 stars per week, and I think it's supposed to run a year for those people that are making a huge quilt. I'm not. I'm only going to make something about 40 by 40-ish in that range. And you can choose to make a 4-inch, a 6-inch, or an 8-inch star block. And I've chosen to do the 6-inch block. And I have to say that these centers here of the star are pretty much the thing that nightmares are made of. They are just, there's 16 little square blocks that you make, 16 for the center for each star. And these are 3/4 inch finished little half square triangles, 3/4 of an inch. So my finger covers up the block just about. You can see in relation to my pinky how tiny these are. And if you like to get things precise and measure the way they're supposed to and fit the way they're supposed to, this is a little bit of a nightmare. but just because I don't starch my fabric, and this is, you know, unstarched, there's so much pliability to the fabric. And when you have to make this measurement fit, it can be nightmarish. This flying geese unit, these for the star points, is not bad. That's really fairly simple. I think this is 3.5 by 2 or 1.5, either. I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't matter. But I mean, these are very easy. It's this center portion which is very tough, but it comes out to be a 6-inch block when you're done. This is 6.5 right now, will be 6 inches finished. And you can make, you know, as many as you'd like you can make 72 blocks. I'm making 25, which right now sounds nightmarish to me, but I love them so much. They are such pretty little blocks, and I think it's going to be a very pretty little quilt, but I'm suffering through it. I'm going to suffer through it because I love the blocks. And here are a couple of other fabrics that I'm going to use for these. This is a layer cake square in navy, which I thought would go nicely. Kind of Kim Deal colors and fabrics. Some of these are Kim Deal. This is Kim Deal. This is Kim Deal. I was thinking that color. I want those kind of primitive looking colors and wintry cozy colors, because this will go in our great room, and that has sort of an Adirondack style, rustic, very rustic. Here's another Kim Deal I was thinking of using, and just some other colors that I pulled from my stash that I'm thinking of using, not quite sure yet. I have another one ready to go here. This will make the little half square triangles, and this is a green. I'll be doing a green star, which will go with these as well. These are the I'm constructing my flying geese a little bit differently than Lisa tells you to, so these squares will be used for the flying geese on the corners here. So I will have a pretty green one to go in here as well. So I just thought I would share my quilting adventures while I'm working on my spool, which is now finished. And I'd just like to thank everyone that has joined me so far on this journey, and the very kind comments that you have left me, and sweet compliments. I appreciate it very much. And so thank you for watching today, and I'm wishing you many blessings, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.